What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jay with Unfair Sports, and I want to tell you why I hate your NBA team this coming season. All that coming up in 20 seconds. Yo, what's good? Jay, Unfair Sports. We're trying to take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. Let's dive into why I hate your teams. First up, the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young has lived to nutmeg your favorite's player. And honestly, it's really against the principles of the game. I'm lying. It's actually pretty funny. But that's not going to win you games. Atlanta has made a lot of roster moves. I'll give them props for that. They picked up Chris Dunn, Rajon Rondo, and they also traded for Danilo Gallinari in a sign-and-trade deal. Will that actually create some W's? Kind of questionable, even though the defense looks like it might be better. Speaking of Gallinari, have you noticed that Gallo has done a great job of securing some fat checks without even sniffing an All-Star game? Dude's borderline the finesse god. He's like a legend at the bank. Like Joe Johnson, who's done a great job of being able to play in every beautiful city out there without actually being really critiqued for his game. But we're not talking about him right now. We're talking about the Atlanta Hawks. They're not going nowhere. As much as I would like to see them compete, too young, too inexperienced, and those vets are not going to like the fact that these young guys are taking up all the minutes. Maybe sniff close to a playoff berth, but it ain't going to win them a chip. Because fat checks don't win chips, as every other team in the NBA. Next up, Boston Celtics. Wait, we don't have Commissioner Gordon there? No more Gordon Hayward? So who's Brad Stevens going to force on us this year? I don't know, but the man might be in a conundrum trying to figure out how to use his actually really good players. Technically, this team is built to win, has everything you need except for really a big man to compete fully in the East. But that shouldn't be too much of a problem for them, right? They've got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, monsters on the court. But you gotta ask yourself, who's gonna defend Giannis? Who's gonna defend Bam Adebayo? Who's gonna defend Joel Embiid? Even though they did sweep Joel Embiid last year, Joel should come back better, right? So what's the Celtics' plan if these teams are prepared for them this time? The good thing is for the Celtics, they have an identity. And that's the most important piece. This is Jason Tatum's team. And probably Jaylen Brown is the top number 2 in the league, if not top 5 as the number 2 player on a team. Will that be enough though? Their only problem is going to reside on Kemba Walker's knees, as well as their play in the paint. Oh yeah, there's this one guy in Brooklyn that's coming back from injury that might be a menace. Next up, Brooklyn Nets. Well, it looks like the media's not allowed to talk to Kyrie Irving, but now they are, but they're also not sure. Can they talk to anybody else on the team? Will this work? How is this going to go with his relationship with the media? So many questions we have about that, which really we shouldn't care about. This artificial drama that's being created within that organization, it's not going to end very well. First off, they don't know who the coach is, and then they change their mind about who the coach is, and how it's going to be a coach by committee, but now it's going to be an actual coach. And that's what this coach person is. I don't know what Kyrie's game plan is, but he has Kevin Durant. And to me, say less, play more. If you want your game to really do the talking, don't go to the media and talk about anything. Answer a few questions here or there, be okay with the dumb questions, and go. Now we have to ask ourselves is what is Kevin Durant going to look like? In preseason, he looked solid, but that doesn't mean much. It's the preseason. Most of the starters aren't playing hard. So now we have to see if this team can be the team we expect them to be. And then they have all of these great players on the bench that don't seem like they're very happy. They didn't seem happy last year when Kyrie was there. Now the question is, are they going to be happy with Kyrie and Kevin Durant? If they can get the chemistry together, I'd say that they are a championship contender. But the question is, can you get the drama down to where you can build the chemistry? I don't know if that's going to happen. All right, we got the Charlotte Hornets, Michael Jordan's team. And it seems like Michael Jordan has tried his hardest to find the reincarnation of one of his biggest rivals from the Eastern Conference, Larry Bird. They tried to get Gordon Hayward a few years ago as a restricted free agent. Utah kept him. Tried again. This time they secured him at $120 million. It's a lot of money to give that guy. But the thing is Gordon Hayward really is kind of like Larry Bird, if you think about it, kind of like Larry Legend, from Indianapolis, played college ball in Indiana at Butler, where Larry Bird played at Indiana State, and he eventually signed with the team that gave Michael Jordan nightmares in the playoffs. Well, in the NBA in general, the Boston Celtics. But now they're pairing him with LaMelo Ball as well as high-flying Miles Bridges, and they should get some wins, right? Right? My issue here is that people think that Gordon Hayward should be a number 1. Duke and Ball, I think he'd probably be the best number 2 or number 3 on a team with an actual identity, but these Hornets don't have that. They've never had that. This is Michael Jordan's team. That's about the only identity they got. But if you really think about it, when Gordon Hayward was the man in Utah, they brought in Joe Johnson to do all the clutch work. That, to me, is not an identity. So without an identity, that's going to cost them in the clutch. So let's see what they can build off of this. And it looks like, to be honest, the shift's going to be to LaMelo Ball being your identity. But then we have to deal with all the memes of LeVar Ball playing Michael Jordan one-on-one. I don't think any of you guys really want to deal with that. Let's head over to the Windy City. Chicago Bulls are coming in with a new head coach, Billy Donovan, who came from my Oklahoma City Thunder. Billy's really good at working with young talent. And logically with that, I understand why Billy Donovan left. It makes sense. He would go to a team where he thinks that he's going to be able to compete. But then when you look at the roster up and down, do you really think this team is built to actually compete? He left Oklahoma City because he didn't want to rebuild. But I feel like he's going to a team that's still in a rebuild. They're not on the outside upper echelon of being able to move up into the playoffs. And so he's going to go there and now learn that they're not ready yet. I enjoy the young talent that Chicago has. Kobe White, Zach LaVine. But what are we going to do here, guys? What does this team have? What is their identity? But the question you have to ask yourself is, can Zach LaVine carry this team to the NBA Finals? And I'm not sure if that needs ready to do that yet. Next up, Cleveland Cavaliers. To be quite honest, I have no clue who's on this roster outside of the GOAT, Matthew Dellavedova. Wait, they have Kevin Love, don't they? And Andre Drummond. So when are they going to get traded? There's more questions than answers when it comes to this Cavaliers team. The biggest issue I have with the Cavs is they pulled a David Kahn and drafted 2 point guards within the top 10 picks. Now, they didn't do it the way Kahn did it in Minnesota and did it back-to-back, but they did it in back-to-back years. That's still questionable in my personal opinion. Because of that type of a pick and not truly having that word identity I've mentioned in every other team, top 10 pick coming soon. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks. Luka. That's all you're going to hear. Luka for MVP. ESPN has him finishing number 4 this coming season on their top 100, and for good reason. Dude's legit. His old man Paul Pierce game is really fun to watch, even though it looks like the dude is running in molasses. Speaking of molasses, did the Mavericks actually add any noteworthy players to their team this offseason? I mean, besides Luka and Porzingis, who honestly can't even stay healthy, who do they have that can compete with the superpowers in the West? I don't see it. I can see them making a small run, but it's going to be small. First round exit. Next up, Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic as well as Jamal Murray has everyone in the league listening to them say, tell me how my tastes. Mainly because they were able to come back from 3-1 deficits in back-to-back rounds in the playoffs in the bubble. Something none of us expected to happen with them. And we actually thought that they were going to compete with the Lakers. Now, they put up a really good fight, but do you really believe that they have the opportunity to come back and do that again? The good thing for them is they have the emergence of Michael Porter Jr. There's a potential chance they'll finish within the top 3 in the regular season. The problem is, being top 3 doesn't win you the West, especially when you get into the playoffs. Nothing about this roster up and down says that they're number 1 today. Maybe in a couple years when you add in Michael Porter Jr.'s growth, the addition of RJ Hampton, and the future MVP Bobo. I'm kidding, but not kidding. Bobo is awesome. It's great watching him out there play. So this year, I don't see it. Next year, they might be a problem. And the year after that, they can keep their core. Ooh, be afraid. Be very afraid. Next up, Detroit Pistons. Welcome to Detroit, where we have every single big man in the league that nobody else really wants. Like seriously, what exactly is the game plan for Blake Griffin Mason Plumlee, draft pick Isaiah Stewart, Jahlil Okafor, who you just signed, and then you stole away Jeremy Grant from the Denver Nuggets. Like, what are you going to do with all that? Are you planning on running a large lineup? Do we see that as a way of winning in the East? The biggest question you have to have about the Pistons is, will they stay healthy? That's probably been their biggest problem over the last 2 years. Now, I really hope that they can be healthy and they show us something new by the way that their team is set up. But to be honest, because I really hate injury stories, I'm not going to hold my breath that they're going to stay healthy. Next up, Golden State Warriors. Now, they're coming off of a very off year, especially with all the injuries they dealt with. Like I said, I hate injury stories, but they don't have Clay. That Achilles injury that he has, he's done for at least a calendar year, maybe less, depending on how he rehabs. He's still a little young, a little. But are they going to be okay with just Steph, Draymond Green, and the new additions of Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins? And then they drafted at number 2, James Wiseman as the big man to go with all of this. All of that I'm talking about should be enough, right? Nah, I don't think so. The question is can Oubre and Wiggins put up half the production that Klay Thompson put out? Half. That's all he needs, half, honestly. And I don't think they can get that far. The problem is they're not intimidating like Klay Thompson is out there on the wing, spotting up, ready to shoot the three. That's what makes Steph Curry's game even more powerful, is having guys out there that people are truly afraid will burn them every single time they touch the ball. He can miss the shot 10 times in a row. Teams will still be afraid that Klay's going to hit it, because the minute he gets torched, the minute he starts heating up, he's known for dropping 40. The problem you run into with this is that teams are still going to be able to double Steph. Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins have not proven themselves as team players that you should truly worry about just yet. Now, if they can put out some defensive efforts that Klay will put out, might have a chance. But outside of that, on paper, nah, ain't nobody afraid. We got to see what it looks like on the court. Hey guys, thanks for checking us out. This is the reason why I hate your teams. Doesn't mean none of your teams can win it. I just don't like certain things about everybody. So let us know in the comments what you think, and we will go from there. Good luck this season. We'll have a pod out soon. Talk to you guys in a few days. Peace.